Chris here with Ecovacs' new Deebot X1 Turbo. This is a very advanced robot vacuum cleaner that does have 5,000 PA maximum suction performance, a floating main brush, 2 side brushes. It also does have voice commands that you can issue to it. So there's various commands. You can get it to start, stop cleaning. It also can hook up to Google Assistant and Alexa. 3D laser mapping at the top, it's their True Mapping 2.0. Front-facing camera for obstacle avoidance using AI. For example, shoes or socks, it will go around them instead of over them. You can even log into the camera on this model here and take a look and see what your pets are up to while you're gone. It does have two-way communication capabilities because it's got a microphone and loudspeaker built into it. And then the cleaning station right here. So this is to rinse and clean out the mops that this does have. So the mopping performance on this one, much more advanced and better than what you have with other typical robot vacuums that just drag around microfiber cloths. This model here, the mops oscillate, well they spin, should I say, at 180 RPM, and they do apply 6 newtons of pressure. So once they go in here, it flushes and cleans them out. There are 2 tanks for our water cleaning here. So a dirty 4-litre tank right there, and we have a clean 4-litre tank. So the runtime of this model with its 5,200 milliamp hour battery is up to 200 minutes. That's of course using the lower settings and not mopping. When you're mopping, it's about 180 minutes there. So in the box of the X1, you'll find our 2 mops. We've got our power cable. This is the EU one because I've got an EU version, of course. Some paperwork, and you'll find the left and right sweepers for the vacuum. You'll also find in the compartment here where we've got our 2 water tanks that they do Ecovacs include this right here, which is 2 spare mops right there that you can easily swap over while you're cleaning the others. There is this tool here, which is a brush for cleaning out where the auto clean part is. And just inside here, well, there's this different level there where it's scrubbing those mops. And there is a little nozzle in there too, where later it's going to be blowing air onto them to eventually dry out the mops. So we've got a mode here that you can get it to just rinse and clean those mops, start and stop cleaning, and then to get it returned to the dock here itself to then start that process of cleaning those mops or filling up the tank. And of course our vacuum, which is the Osmo X1, part of the X1 Turbo package here. So we have the 2 mops. Now they are applying pressure. They do spin at 180 revolutions per minute. Magnets hold the mops into place, so it's very easy for me to insert that right there. And they do use Velcro, so you can simply pull that off, and this is a microfiber cloth that is on the back, and you see slotting that in. Not hard at all to do. So our main brush here, which is a rubber sweeper within the bristles, 2 different levels of bristles there too, by the way, is a floating brush suspended, so it adjusts to the different levels in your floors, your carpets and mats. Very easy to remove it, to clean it for maintenance, and we do have the tool that comes in the box with the paperwork as well. So both of the wheels here, they are suspended. They can tackle small little climbs of around about 1 to 2 centimeters, and we have the 2 side sweeping brushes. Front 360-degree wheel, you can remove that for maintenance and cleaning too as well, and then the sensors around the outside to make sure it's not going to fall down any stairs, for example, or any large falls. It will detect that and know to make sure it's not going to do that. Along the top of the vacuum, there are some tiny little holes here. Now, it does have microphones built into it for the voice commands, which I will demonstrate later on when I get into just how it cleans, how it operates. So we do have a little tower here at the top. Now, this has LiDAR, laser scanning, 3D map, so it is very accurate. And there's magnets that do hold this top cover in, so it is easy enough to remove. You can lift that out, and that's where we gain access to then the dustbin. Now, the performance of this, suction performance of this particular robot vacuum is 5,000 PA, which is definitely the higher end of the robot vacuum cleaners that I do review. This switch right here is our power on and off. We've got a Wi-Fi reset button, QR code for the application to scan and pair it up, and our dustbin, which is 400 milliliters. Now, if you did have the X1 Omni model, you wouldn't need to empty this dustbin because it has the auto empty station and it sucks the contents out from here. But because today I'm reviewing the X1 Turbo, it doesn't have that feature. I need to manually pull it out, and there's this little tiny latch on the side there, and I can easily then empty out the contents of this dustbin. Now, it does have a 3-stage filtration here, so we've got a washable filter there, and if I just open this up, I'll show you there's a second layer there, which is a little fine sponge, and then the first layer, which is a finer little mesh there, which does stop any larger particles from reaching those filters. The Deebot X1 doesn't have your typical LiDAR mapping. Up the top here, it's a sealed unit. This is their direct time of flight mapping that is a lot more faster, accurate, can pick up on even smaller objects. And having it sealed is really good. That means that hair should not get stuck and tangled in to where that laser is, where it's mapping everything out. So that combined with the AI/VI 3D obstacle avoidance we've got at the front, those cameras, the other sensors, that array, it does have your optical avoidance. So it's using AI to detect items like socks, shoes, cables, and go around those. And I will give you examples of it in action later on in this review. Either side of this vacuum, it does have sensors that do detect the edges, so it can get up nice and close to get a closer and clean to the edges of walls, around furniture, whatever there. There's the clean air, filtered air exit vent right there. This is if I did have the Omina version, the X1 Omina, it would be able to then suck out the contents of the tank with that auto empty feature. This is where the charging contacts are, infrared here to get nice and close and auto charge itself, and the inlet here for water. So that's where it's going to pump in and fill that little reservoir it's got in there of 80 milliliters just to keep those mops nice and wet when it is cleaning, before it goes back to clean them, that is. Speaker built into it, and that other side sensor. And our application. So the app is called Ecovacs Home. You can get it on iOS and here in Android. So once you create an account, you log in, you need to add the robot vacuum. You do need to be on your wireless 2.4 gigahertz band because that's what it uses. It doesn't use wireless AC, 5 gigahertz. Wireless AX doesn't use those. So you can see right now that it is online, the battery percentage right there. You can go into the video manager. So that's when you can record, get a live stream from the front of the Deebot X1 Turbo. Handy if maybe you're away or you want to play a little trick on your kids at home, or you're checking up on your dog, your animals, or whatever. You can log in through that, which is good, and it's two-way communication with that camera. So here I'm just going to go into our smart cleaning. So that's just to go into it. Now you will see the map that it has already laid out before. You'll see the current position of the robot vacuum. So I was doing a little area clean before just filming, and you'll see exactly where it is, the obstacles around there that it has detected and things. They are all listed, and then you can set up bedrooms. So when I go to clean, I can either do just a complete clean. You've got custom clean there where you can just set an area that you want to clean up, or the area clean mode. You can go along and select different rooms. Maybe you only want to just, for example, clean bedroom 1. So you're able to select that and do that, which is good. You've got map management. So we do have up to 3 maps you can save. So good for people that do have various different floors in their homes. You're able to do that. There is a quick mapping mode too, where it doesn't actually do a proper clean. It just goes around and maps everything out first, which is normally what you do when you first get it. So we do have a 3D mode here too as well. Now this I found can be sometimes a little bit slow to load in. So that's a 3D map there that it can create of your house, which looks just a lot better and a lot more detailed than what you have with the 2D one. But I actually prefer the 2D map because it is fast and it shows everything. It's clearly laid out too. It's quite good for that. Now we do have various different settings, the typical kind of settings that you would get with a advanced robot vacuum cleaner such as this one. So you've got your do not disturb mode, video manager there, cleaning, a lot of different options, and of course the voice assistant. You can issue commands to it, which I'll quickly demonstrate later on too in this review. And down here, if you do swipe up, you can set then how many times you want to clean the areas. You can customize that too. You've got your max setting there, so that's the 5000 PA quiet. I just leave it on standard, which seems to do a good job. Water level, cleaning sequence, and you do have a schedule too that you can set up and adjust the volume and languages of the voice feedback that it does have. So there's a lot of options in here. And just also to point out too, with the map management, you can set there 2 no-go zones. It can auto-detect carpet. You've got virtual boundaries. So it pretty much covers it all. This application is really fully featured. So this robot vacuum does support voice commands. You just simply need to state the command it's waiting for, or should I say listening to from you, which is this. Okay, Echo.
I'm here.
Start cleaning.
Okay, start cleaning. Please make sure there is sufficient water in the clean water tank.
And there we go, it will start to clean. Okay, Eco.
I'm here.
Stop cleaning.
Task complete.
and it has now finished. Now there's a lot of different voice commands which are in the application. You can find it on their website that you're able to issue to this vacuum. And then our cleaning performance, I found that it maps out and gets the obstacles and everything that's around it quite efficiently. Goes all around the outside first, under beds, around furniture. Pretty standard there, just like other laser mapping robot vacuums, but I did notice this one being a little quicker. It was quicker until it came to things like mats. Now I have a test mat that I use in the bedroom downstairs for all my robot vacuum reviews, and a lot of models will struggle with this mat because it's about 1.5 centimeters the height of it, and at times the Deebot X1 would go up it, go around it, spin around in circles and get a little bit lost at times, and it would take a little longer to clean. However, eventually it would go around it or on top of it and then proceed to clean about all the area as per normal, which is fine there. It's just that one little thing that I noticed with the thicker mats if you do happen to have them around. Now the mopping performance on the tiled floors around here, very good. It is applying a little bit of pressure to the floor, so it's going along scrubbing, and it's 180 revolutions per minute that it's scrubbing at too. And I did a test here with some coffee and some dirt. You can see that on the first attempt going over it, it didn't quite get everything, but eventually after a second pass, which you can set with the app for such a bit of a dirty test there, even though it's not normal standard household, we wouldn't have spilt coffee and just leave it there. It finally got rid of everything, and that was good. And when you look at those mops, the results do speak for themselves. They look very dirty. And then the water that we had left over from when it rinses out the mops, you can see, look at the color of that. It is brown. So certainly keeping the floors looking a lot cleaner than what they would normally be. So my test on the mat was some cereal, some cornflakes, some cat hair, which is very difficult because it's quite fine and light. It often gets stuck to mats, and some hair and other bits of dirt. So we did a good job of getting pretty much everything. You can see the pass as it's going over, zigzagging back and forth in the area clean mode. However, it left a little chunk there of cat hair. So my cat Vera, there's a bit of fur that was left behind, but on the second pass, you can see when it went up and down, it did end up getting that. So in more dirtier, more stubborn areas, I would certainly use the application to set a second pass on those areas, so it's going to get everything. Now, one of the advanced features, of course, of this model is the fact that it's got the obstacle avoidance with the camera. So my test was to lay out typical items that may be left around. So shoes, some socks on the floor, and a rogue USB cable, which is a robot vacuum's worst nightmare. They just eat them and they get stuck inside them. So going around the shoes, not a problem. It always saw the shoes without any issues, went around them and didn't even really bump into those shoes. The socks that would go around normally go and not actually touch them, but occasionally it would bump into them, but it never sucked them up. The USB cable, however, a little bit hit and miss. It did go sometimes around it, at other times it just gave up and plowed straight through it, getting tangled in the main brush, so I did have to stop it. So I would say the obstacle avoidance is working really well for some items, but it's just USB cables. It's really not that foolproof. So you still want to make sure you don't accidentally leave a cable lying on the floor with a vacuum. You can also use the camera to log into the cameras and just have two-way conversations. So a little test here that I did with my cat Vera. You can see she's looking at it, wondering what's going on, but this vacuum is Vera approved because normally she runs away from most robot vacuums because of the noise of them, but she wasn't too fussed with this one and more interested in what was going on. I was talking to her too. So with the built-in microphones and speakers, you can have two-way conversations. So it could be handy for pets of course, and for logging in maybe and just checking out your house, which you can put onto a patrol mode too as well, where the robot vacuum will go around and you can see with the camera if anyone's in the house, which is a handy feature to have there. So once it's done all the cleaning, if you're in the mop mode, it will go back into the clean station here, of course. It fills and sprays water onto the mops. There's a bit of water in there at the moment, which is normal. And it will rub and scrub them on the plastic surface inside here and then rinse them through. That's why we've got the two clean tanks, the clean tank and the dirty tank that is. and it will go through the clean water a lot faster than it does the dirty water there. And then to dry it out, which is just going to use air, it will take around about 5 hours. So it's a long process there. But here is a quick sample of what the clean station sounds like when it's in action. It makes a funny gurgling noise, a little bit like a coffee maker, coffee machine. So overall, the Deebot X1 Turbo here does a really good job of cleaning the floors. Very happy with hard floors especially, and this is really what I think this model here is aimed at. So for people that have carpets, yes, it can do it, but if you've got mostly hard floors, it's probably the one to go for there, because you need to remove those mops to do the carpet. Although, as I mentioned before, it will detect a mat when it's in the mopping mode or carpets and not actually go over them. So good job of hard floors, and it will just maintain things just looking in general quite a bit cleaner. I like the fact that it's not very loud. The application's got a lot of built-in features, very good mapping. You've even got the 3D map mode. Camera there with the obstacle avoidance is a handy feature to have. Just means it might not get stuck when it does end up facing shoes and socks and things, but USB cables, yeah, it could end up sucking those up there. It is, yes, an expensive robot vacuum compared to others, but you are gaining just that way better improved mopping performance because it's physically scrubbing the floor, spinning the mops, drying and cleaning those mops there too as well, if that's something you want. And do remember that Ecovacs has other models like the X1 Omni or the X1 Plus that do contain dustbins, auto empty stations as well. So if you want it to actually suck out the contents of the dustbin in the X1, the Deebot X1, it can do that, whereas this model is just for cleaning the mops here. So thank you a lot for watching my review here of Ecovacs' Deebot X1 Turbo.